I got exposure working in other regions for short stints, but still based in Uganda. But by the time those opportunities came into my life, the serious ones which I would have considered and which I did interview for, I had a lot of decisions to make. But I made a hard decision not to move on because of family. That was the core reason why I always said it's better to stay home, eat your muhogo and beans, than to go and eat burgers and come back and find a disjointed family. It just doesn't add up. So one of the problems we have with the younger types is that they are not ready to settle, to learn, and then pick up from that point. They are restless. Don't be deceived by that you have time. You don't have time. Every one of us has 24 hours in a day, but you don't know how long you will live. But we believe that we shall live to a ripe old age. And we pray to God that He allows us so that we fulfill our purpose in life. When I was young, I couldn't envisage that I would be 60, let alone 40. There's a perception that I would always be young. And when you're young, the world is the one rushing. You are not in a rush. But I'll tell the youth, save. Time flies. And if you are not prepared in your timing, you will regret. Invest in God. First. Invest in understanding God. God gives you answers. The Bible says, my people perish because of lack of knowledge. It is in all spheres, spiritual and in the physical. Connecting those two dots will make it easier for you to identify what it means to save and invest.
Hi everybody, welcome to today's episode where we are talking about retirement. Now, I know many of you are younger. You think this is not a topic that is relevant to you. But from our experience talking with a gentleman that we are going to introduce, it is very important that at a younger age, you start to think of your life in your evening time, in your later years. And you can only do that now when you're well placed to know what you need to do, how you're going to prepare yourself for the years ahead. So please stay around and let's have a conversation around this. So I'm very privileged today to have a gentleman who I don't even know how to introduce him today, in what capacity, but Mr. Edward Barlow Muwanga. He's a retired professional, banking professional, but also, he does quite a lot. He's in business, he's in ministry, and he's going to tell us more about himself, and then we can go into the conversation. So please join me as we welcome Mr. Muwanga. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you, Madam Gombia, Renette, if I may call you Renette.
Yes.
It's a pleasure.
Yes.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever is out there.
Yes.
It's a pleasure and it's an honor to be here to discuss a very, very important topic.
Yes, sir.
As I may introduce myself,
Yes.
My name is Edward John Muwanga Barlow.
Yes, sir.
I am a family man.
Yeah.
Before that, since it's about employment, I was indeed privileged to be employed for a total of 35 years with one employer, 33 of them on full-time basis, about 2 or 3 on contract, which comes about 35, 36.
Yeah.
So I'm most privileged to have worked for one institution, a financial institution, Standard Chartered Bank, for that long,
Yes.
where I rose through the ranks.
Yes.
From the very, very low clerical level up to a senior executive of the bank at the time of my retirement. I'm blessed to have got this far.
Yes, sir.
I retired in July when I clocked 60.
Yes, sir.
To be honest, I was a little bit shocked myself that I clocked 60
Yes.
because I walked into the bank when I was 21.
21.
on the 1st of October 1984 is when I started working in the bank. So Edward Mwanga Barlow I come from a family of 5 siblings.
Yes,
we are
sir.
5.
Yes, sir.
I have 3 sisters and 2 brothers, plus 1. We have an adopted brother. My parents has passed on. We grew up on a farm. My father worked for Makerere University. He's one of the first starters of Makerere University Kabanyoro. So I was privileged to grow out there. I am a married man, married to 1 wife, and she is female.
Yes.
I am blessed. I have 6 biological children, 3 daughters and 3 sons. I am also blessed that I have a son-in-law. So I have 4 sons now and 3 daughters. And I'm also a grandfather now. I have 1 granddaughter. I'm passionate about whatever I try to do. I love the Lord, and I have been serving the Lord for the last 30 years or so. My wife, a wonderful woman, I think I would have been honored if I had brought her along, but next time. We usually do talk about these subjects together. So in a nutshell, that is me. I ended my career as an executive officer of Standard Chartered Bank as country chief risk officer. And now I have moved on into retirement. But I don't like the word retirement. You don't retire. I actually keep telling everybody I retired, like changing tires.
Yes.
I changed tires. This is my season to move on.
Yes, sir.
So, in short, that is who I am.
Yeah, that's very amazing. Quite a rich story, rich experience. And one of the things that stand out for me is how you worked in one institution for all those years. I mean, you've worked for years. You've worked longer than I've lived personally, and only that is a shocker because I've worked in many places in the few years I've worked. So hearing that you worked in a place for all these years brings a question: didn't you have greener pastures, or weren't there opportunities that came along the way? Why did you keep in one place for 35 years?
An interesting question. I guess it's a couple of things that really work out for me when I talk about my employer. First and foremost, my employer was a wonderful employer, equal opportunities employer.
Yes, sir.
In terms of what I anticipated and wanted to do in my life, when I left college, I wanted to work in a bank, and then voila, I got the opportunity to work in a bank. Did I have over the years opportunities to move on? Yes, I did. But there are reasons why I didn't go into greener pastures. And interestingly, once upon a time I was young like you.
Yes.
And there were people who were probably as old as me or a little bit older, who I used to look at and wonder, why have these people stayed in employment for this long? Are there no other, challenges or greener pastures? But for me, I worked 2 stints with Standard Chartered, really.
Yeah.
And I did take an early retirement earlier on. But then I was called back after 3 years when I had left to go and do my own things. But that is a story for another day.
We are going to talk about early retirement, actually. So maybe you bring it out.
Yeah. So what I found interesting was that the career as a banker was really interesting. I had opportunities to learn, upskill, and grow. When I joined the bank, I had a diploma. As I moved on in the bank, I knew that things were changing. I did a degree at Makerere as the pace of change continued. And as the pace of change continued, things became more interesting. The opportunities were there. However, interesting for me, because I know there are colleagues who are in the diaspora, people who I've worked with in Standard Chartered who have moved on to Singapore, Hong Kong, Dubai. Many of them have moved in the region, even the East Africa region. I got exposure working in other regions for short stints, but still based in Uganda. But by the time those opportunities came into my life, the serious ones which I would have considered, and which I did interview for, I had a lot of decisions to make. For example, family. I had to really think how I would move with my children. I told you I am blessed. I have contributed to the economy. I have 6 children.
Yes, sir.
So, and they are in 2 batches. My daughters are much older, and then my sons are a little bit younger. So I was torn between understanding how I would deal with that. Then at that stage in my life, my parents, God bless them, they have since passed on, were at an advanced age, and they needed quite a lot of attention. And my thoughts around going and leaving them here, because my sisters were all in the diaspora, I was only here with my one brother, it was a bit complicated for me. So I had to answer some hard questions with some of my bosses as to why I didn't want to move on. But I made a hard decision not to move on because of family. That was the core reason why. I mean, there's no reason why I'm going to work in Hong Kong and leave my children, young children here. Even if it's not about money, only money. It's about being with my children. It's about being with my wife. I don't subscribe to these, what do you call them? Marriages which are over the internet. How are you today? What? Wait until she's long awake. Distance. The other long distance. No. Marriage, you're supposed to be, according to me, you have to be together. And children are the reason why I go to work. And to build my family and, all the things that really take us to work. I did not see how I would be able to, maintain both the standards of family and other things in my absence. And I could not, for example, leave my daughters behind to my aunties, my uncles, while I move with my wife and my younger children. No, it was sort of a mismatch. So yeah,
it's very amazing, because many times you find people would say that, after all, I'm working for these children, let me go away for a few years as I make money for them so that they become better when I'm back, and I don't know, maybe it depends on people's experience, but hearing you esteeming family, for me, it's a big thing. And I'm sure now in retirement you feel it's paying off.
Oh yes, it is. I always said, it's better to stay home, eat your muhogo and beans, than to go and eat burgers and come back and find a disjointed family. It just doesn't add up. The children of today, you have to be in their face. You have to be with them and walk with them. I am blessed thus far, touch wood. I can see the results of the decisions, not only myself, but also that my wife made. Being connected to the children, even if the income was not what we could have got. But are we not here?
You're here.
Are we not happy?
Very happy.
Yeah, and what is life without your family? If you lose a child, losing a child is possible, but losing a child to something that you could have intervened.
Oh yes.
As in terms of parenting is key. So
it's very common, Mr. Mwanga. Many times, I've had interactions, even on this show, of children who lack parental presence, and the effect has never been positive.
It is so negative. You'd rather have the little and share it with your children than to be away and send them what you think is a lot. Being in the presence of your children is key. And I am really a strong
advocate. I know.
Strong at every step. I have to be there with my children. I shout the loudest on sports days.
Yes.
Well, some parents are there
trying on
rubbing
phone.
their hands. Me, I go with the vuvuzela. Even if my child is last, I have to shout.
To shout.
Yes, I have
because
to.
that's what's important to the child.
I remember my mother doing that for me.
Yeah.
When I was a sportsman. So,
wow. Apart from family, apart from people, I mean, sometimes taking decisions that affect their family, what are some of the other mistakes you feel young professionals make? In your experience interacting with younger people, career people, what are some of those mistakes you feel younger people make?
There are a lot of mistakes, and I must say maybe at some point in my life I could relate with some of these mistakes.
Yeah.
Some of the mistakes that the young generation make is the attitude that they bring to the opportunities that they have.
Yeah.
One, they are over demanding, and yet they do not have the right attitude and commitment to produce results in terms of productivity. They demand, they want, they don't want to input, but you cannot take out something where you have not invested. So one of the problems we have with the younger types is that they are not ready to settle, to learn, and then pick up from that point. They are restless. I find it's common for young people to be very restless these days. They want to get to the top really, really quick. And they don't see why they don't get to the top real quick. So that is one of the problems. The other problem is the pace of change. Many young people feel that they are suffocated in their workplaces and that the opportunities are very slim. As opposed to taking time at a certain job and getting life skills. By the way, you get skilled. There are things that will never be taken away from you.
Yes.
The people whom you meet and the way you engage them, the things that you learn, which, by the way, you do not learn from these curriculums and things that we study in school.
Yes.
But there are things that are so important that some of the youth do not wait for. And it's a cause for concern. So there are many young people also feel that their reward is not good enough.
Yes.
So they want to climb really fast to make sure they get to somewhere where they get a reward faster. For a few, it has worked. But I think for grounding yourself and learning, it's better to be patient, especially depending on where you are employed. If your employer is an organization of substance, it's good for you to take time to learn. You have to learn a lot of skills. You need to learn your boss. That is a
skill.
It's a skill. Every boss comes with different demands, working ethics and style. You need to understand how do you get. And also, people do not see the value of becoming, for example, subject matter experts. What happened for me is I slowly started identifying areas where I could become an expert. And it paid off.
Yes.
Because a lot of people would not want to go in that space. So you commit yourself to that space, you learn, and then all of a sudden everybody is looking for, hey, where's Mr. Barlow? We need to, how do we go about this? So that...
You go back to school and study a certain field.
Not necessarily studying a certain field. It's studying the processes that govern an organization. It's studying how things are done. For example, in the financial services sector, there are specialist areas that people, you can learn and become an expert. So many young people are not ready
for that.
They don't want to wait. And unfortunately, I remember as a young person, I was also a little bit restless. But and maybe fortunately for us, we didn't have as many opportunities because I relate to the time when things were really bad, the regimes which were very difficult and whatnot. So, naye Uruganda they say nyama ntono so we held on, but eventually, because I worked for an equal opportunities employer, I had a good career path and got success. People need to be able to learn how to bank on themselves. I usually call it boy. Bank on yourself. So even you ladies, be boys, bank on yourself, learn, grow, be patient, focused, deliberate. People will notice that you're making a difference and you will grow.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mr. Mwanga. Now I want us to now go straight to our gist, which is retirement.
Yeah.
How is it for you now? How is life now?
To be honest, I've just been retired, changed my tires over the last, since July, this is the fourth month.
Yeah.
I still actually honestly feel like I'm on a long leave.
Yes.
But without the bother of the office, being reminded about the things that I would have been thinking about normally when I was on leave.
Yeah.
So retirement for me is an exciting time.
Yes.
I want to say that I didn't know that it would come so soon.
Yes.
Like I said, I had the opportunity to retire at 55, but then they ongeza 5 years, so 60. I was blessed to go on for another 5 years and hit 60. So retirement is an exciting phase for me. There are so many things that you young people say, what on your bucket list? I have a bucket list as well.
Yes.
I'm serving in certain areas. I have a cottage industry with my wife where we do apparel. I've always had a desire to style and design.
Did you start that when you were still?
Yes, I had started it when I broke off those 3 years, which I didn't tell you too much about.
Yes.
I had a desire to do that. So I had a desire for design. I used to design for my wife when I would travel, go to places like Ghana, design clothes for my wife, bring them back, and people would ask, where did you get these clothes? And actually, it was one of my passions. So I am working on things that I didn't have an opportunity to have enough time to do. That is one. The second thing is I do drying of herbs and fruits. I had bought equipment for dehydration. So that is one of the bucket list things which I had been experimenting with, drying pineapples, mangoes, fene, all these herbs like papaya leaf. It has medicinal values and things like that. So that's one other thing. Then I also run a project on urban fish farming.
Yes.
I live in Namugongo, but I'm still experimenting of growing tilapia above the ground, not on the ground, above the ground in a recycling system. I've done it successfully with many failures, but now I'm beginning to see light at the end. I'm now beginning to harvest. My wife and I, we are ministers at church, but our ministry now is focused more on marriages. We have a marriage ministry, and we are passionate about counseling and helping young people. These days, I don't know, things are very rocky in that space.
We are going to have a conversation on that. We're going to have you back on that.
Very rocky space.
Yes.
So I am focusing on preparing how I will get more and more involved in that as a ministry. So I have a couple of things happening.
You're working on. That's amazing.
Yes. Working on also ensuring that my savings are not lost.
Yes.
That I place them in instruments that are liquid. but can continue, supporting me.
Yes.
Yeah, as I continue in whatever number of years the Lord continues to give me.
Amazing.
I have many perks.
Perks.
Yes.
We'll get to each as we continue the discussion.
Okay.
Now, one of the other aspects is many young people don't think about retirement when they are younger. And I don't know, do you think it's lack of sensitization, or they just don't want to go there? They just try to dodge that area?
Yeah, you're spot on. I'll talk about that from my own experience. When I was young, I couldn't envisage that I would be 60, let alone 40. There's a perception that I would always be young. And when you're young, the world is the one rushing. You are not in a rush.
Yeah.
The world is the one rushing, but there's no hurry.
Yes.
You get that feeling that
I still have time.
I don't have to think about this. I'm fit. I'm what? There's time for everything. You don't say. But yet, when you fail to plan, you plan to fail. It's a common adage that is used. And indeed, and I'll say to every youth out there, if you started a job today, begin thinking about your future. You are making a big mistake if you don't think of savings early. The multiplier factor, if you do some mathematics, however small it may be, if you take hypothetically 100,000 a month, if you are able, or even 50, but you've got to start somewhere, and you continue saving 50,000 or 100,000 shillings per month over 10, 15 years, you are going to make a difference. You're going to have something, a pot of money, which is going to help you do some of the things you cannot do with your musala, your salary, this monthly salary. And I would tell every youth out there, whether you are getting 20 million a month, and I want to tell you that there are few who get that sort of money.
Yes.
As long as you are earning X amount, 500,000 shillings, 1 million shillings, put something aside. It is a way of getting into a culture. And where we are going, it's those who are prepared who are going to be able to be set free from this, the rat race. It's true. You'll be set free if you invest in believing that you can save. Little by little, it will grow.
Yes.
And don't be deceived by that you have time. You don't have time. Every one of us has 24 hours in a day, but you don't know how long you will live. But we believe that we shall live to a ripe old age. And we pray to God that He allows us so that we fulfill our purpose in life. But I'll tell the youth, save. I'm struggling with my children. I try to teach them to save. 1 or 2 of them are picked up. They come back with their pocket money and they tell me, Daddy, I've kept my money. I say, okay, I'm impressed. These children are impressionable. They want to go and buy things at the canteen, want not even show off to the young girls maybe. But saving. Youth, believe me, time flies. And if you are not prepared in your timing, you will regret. Even where I sit, I'm not 100% sure that I've ticked all the boxes. But could I have done things differently? I could have. I remember when I was younger, before I knew the Lord and whatnot, hey, my friend, weekend was weekend, what not, you have to do all the useless things which after years of thinking back said, Kali, what did I lost time.
Yeah.
I could, if I had put aside something and wasn't in the peer pressure groups of being, doing all the things that didn't really add too much value. Yes, I still have friends, but we could have saved. It's very important for you to save early. And don't be shy.
For retirement. We're talking about retirement. Because now what happens is that people save, but they save to do something in the next 1 year, 2 years. They save to buy. They save to take their child to school tomorrow. They save to buy land.
Yes.
They save to... Is that what you're talking about?
No, all those things are part of the savings process. Yes. Like I said, in life, you go through phases. You'll need to save for your children to go to school. That's for sure. Yeah. You'll be able to either get a loan, but to save and be able to repay back and things like that. Yeah. But to save to retirement should be part of the plan and the process. And the problem is we don't make it intentional. Every time you save, my first experiments on saving were very unserious.
Like many other people.
Let me take my 100K. I'll put it in the other code. I'll forget.
I'll forget about it.
Hey, I'll forget about it. It's for a rainy day. Mama, the next morning you think about the 50K you put in the code.
The next morning it rains.
There's a rainy day every day. So you need to be deliberate.
Yes.
And honestly, from my experience, the first time you start saving, you can feel the pinch.
Yes.
But you fall into stride and then you get used. All of a sudden, you don't feel that pinch.
Because it's a culture now.
Yeah. NSSF is statutory. It really helps, but you can do more than that.
Now, what happens now is that many people, the retirement savings is the first savings for NSSF. That's what they look at, and that now, in my old age, that's the money I'm going to use. But it's important to hear that that's not just enough.
Then there's also the social side.
Yes.
Connections, people whom you associate with, and the things that you want to do. I'm blessed that I've met so many wonderful people.
Yes.
And I can call a number of people, engage them, and that's part of investment. Very important social investment. What's your standing with the community? What's your standing with the people you interact with?
Because many people retire and they go back to home. There's no one they're talking to, because they were used to talking to workmates, emails, office, who's doing this, why aren't you doing this, meetings everywhere. And it is time for retirement and there's nobody you can call, even when your car has broken down.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Well, I don't miss the emails. Thank God I don't even want to see emails anymore. And the meetings and whatnot. Yeah, that's a part of life, but you prepare yourself psychologically.
Yes.
Invest in yourself, in people. Invest in knowing that it's not the end. That's why I call retirement not sitting back and holding a TV remote and flipping the channels. No, it's about now working into another area of your life. In fact, it's, I think, part of the purpose which I think is not fulfilled in my life. That's the way I take it.
So, sorry for cutting you short. On that bit of investing in people, what are some of the practical ways somebody can do right now to invest in people?
Yeah, it's important to look at the people and your areas of interest. Create relationships. It could be from your church, it could be from your community, it could be from your workplace. So you have to build. If you don't invest, it starts with you. Yeah, that's why I said, boy, bank on yourself. Many young people make a mistake. They want to sit there, and by the way, these days you chew chewing gum and say, they are not looking at me. So, no. If you want to have a relationship, you have to make yourself vulnerable. So that people can approach you and you can approach others.
Yes.
But if you are
unapproachable,
and when you call me back to talk about marriage, I'll tell the young ladies where they make mistakes.
We are going to call you back.
Yes. We are talking about another subject right now. So you need to invest in yourself. Good people who will mentor you, people who will add value to you, give you good advice. They may point you to your strengths.
Yes.
Yeah. They may call you to involve you in things that they think that you have skill sets to do. And I've already seen that happening. People calling me and saying, you do have some time. I said, what are you talking about? I am retired. I have time.
Yes.
So you need to invest both
in people.
In people, and also invest, of course. The financial one is the one we want to pay a lot of attention to. But having the financials alone is not going to give you the satisfaction that you want. Yeah.
What I get from your submissions, number one is to invest in family.
Very important.
And then invest in people.
Correct.
And then put money aside for savings, for retirement, which I get as our key points here.
Yeah. Going back to the point in family is very important.
Yes.
Okay, I'm still reading about, you will get old and your children will grow and they'll leave you, and then you'll be your wife if you are lucky and you stay together. God blesses you. Maybe you don't know who will go first. There'll be a time maybe one of us, God forbid, that I want to go first. That you could be lonely and all that. But it's about investing and making sure you have all the connections that you have, and not relying on looking at your children. I invested in the children, now they are going to pay me back. Oluganda bagamba batya, n'olukula lukola lutya, luyonko abaana balwo. But I don't believe in that. I believe that with God's purpose in me, I should be able to continue a reasonable lifestyle that is not going to break me, but will give me purpose and satisfaction. That's what I need to work for. And family is key.
Family is key. I think that's one of our take homes here. And as we bring this to a close, Mr. Mwanga, one of the other things that are a challenge are investment decisions, especially for people now who have saved. We've talked about savings, we've talked about having money for your retirement. And in retirement, you don't have many chances. You don't have many chances to earn. You now have this big chunk of money and you want to put it in an investment that is tested and tried. Correct. You're not trying to invest.
To speculate.
Exactly. So in your experience, trying to invest here and there, what are some of those investment decisions you would think, you would advise people to consider when they get to a point where the risks have to be less?
Okay, yeah. Very good question, Renette. I think you're right. The older you get, the less risk you want to take. That's why I said the young people, you need to take care. You need to understand at what point you can take more risk. The younger you are, the more risk you can take.
Yes.
It can be long term. Yeah, you can go into an IPO like for Airtel and get stocks. Over the years, with the digitization and communication services being really important in the economy, it's likely that after maybe 15 years or so, you can get a lot of money.
Yes.
But as you get older, you need to have assets or investments which are more liquid. In the market, you need to identify what is there. On our market, we have some few items that are there, investment vehicles that are appropriate based on your risk that you want to take. Since I said you need to be more liquid, you look at instruments that will help you, which you can recoup quick.
Money.
For example, you can go for treasury bills. You can go for bonds.
Yes.
You can go for unit trusts.
Yes. Those are not long-term.
They are not long-term
investments, and you can get the money.
The return is not too big, but is fair. Where you can get, for example, from treasury bill, of course, after tax is about maybe 8% or so. If you go for a unit trust like in UAP, you get about 10 to 11%, which is good. Standard Chartered Bank, we have mutual funds. Yeah, and unit trusts, which are very competitive. When we say that you should be able to redeem your money, is that you get a good return, but if you want to get your money back, you can get it back quickly.
Yes, that's the cash flow.
Cash flow. If you have a building, if you put it on the market, you could have put it on the market before COVID and it's still not sold.
Yes.
You're still looking for a buyer, and every half a year you say, okay, I wanted $1 million, now okay, I'll take 800,000. Then another year passes by, okay, I'll take 750. If somebody's, so you will not be really sure that you'll be able to redeem.
So that's not an investment you make when you've retired.
Yeah, but it depends on what portfolio you have.
Yes.
That's why I'm saying the young people, watch out, invest now so that your portfolio is diverse. If you have a diverse portfolio where you've been able to get land, maybe you've got houses or a building, those might not be recouped very fast. But on top of that, if you have saved enough money and then you have unit trusts, you have bonds.
Yes.
The government is the biggest borrower.
Yes.
So you can go through your bank, who can go to Bank of Uganda, and you invest in bonds. The highest bond right now is almost coming to 18%.
Yeah.
But if you have a lump sum of money, you can put it in that, and then you'll get coupons over the next 15 years.
Yes.
Where you'll be able to recoup
your money
back and maintain your principal. Yeah. So you can continuously maintain, and even you
principal.
Can, if you get a coupon payment in a period and you think that I can reinvest, you can put it back with the principal and continue. So that will give you less sleepless nights than somebody who is boda bayigundi bagikwatidde ku boda loole eri ku boda ate tandboy yagyemu ebox 5 kale ate kiki.
Those are investments that we can make when we are younger.
Yes.
But when you're older, even your mental health is important.
Correct.
You wouldn't be
taking too much risk. You need to be more liquid
when you grow old.
Yeah. And be able to maintain your lifestyle.
Cash flow. And
the most painful thing for us as we grow older is picking up the phone to call somebody and say, "Bunai, I'm sick. Can you lend me 100,000? I go and get a checkup." Then they check you up and they need 700,000. So when you think of that, you say, and you say, hey, let me call my child. But your child maybe is also in the period where you are having children, they are paying school fees. So you need to have a portfolio of savings investments which are fair, can maintain your lifestyle, and look out some of the critical things in your life.
Yes.
Take care of some of the elements of your health, maybe not all. If you can all, the better. You can't call your son, why akagundi kaya BP nga nkoze ntya.
Many parents do that.
Mwana wange sirina airtime. Kagwako mpereza ku airtime.
We can do better.
You can do better.
We can do better. And I think everybody who is listening to this, and myself, we are learning to do better. At least we will not make those same mistakes. One of the things I've also gotten is that there are some investments you cannot make in retirement.
Correct.
Even if you've gotten all that money in retirement, you can't make investments that are long-term, where you cannot get money.
You are spot on.
Yeah, where you cannot get money that flows in. So it's important that as we save now, when we are younger, we invest in things that we feel are long-term. Right now, it's okay to put up a building. It might not bring the money now, but when I'm older, then the flow will be there. But I can't be older and start putting up a building. If
you are going to rely on it for your income.
Yes.
If you are putting it there for your children, which I also discourage.
Why?
Abana, when you make for the children, you can even build things and the children say, but those were your portfolios. Daddy, we also want to live our life.
Yes.
Daddy's portfolio is to menya. Now we have to take care of his portfolio. So yes, unless you are doing it for your future, your children, you can. But as I'm speaking now, I think we want to be able to live a reasonable life where we can do the things that are needs, not so much the wants. Yes, would appreciate if the wants can also be financed by ourselves. But there are things which are painful.
Yes. I hear you. And when you talk about children managing portfolio, I think it's also one of the challenges where you invest things for your children, and after you've retired, the children don't want to take that path.
Thank you.
And so in that regard, what exactly, if somebody is planning for children, what approach should they take?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's you would try, and I won't say that I have done it. I think in my mind, what I would do is try to interest my children in what I'm doing. I have a project right now on clothing, but I'm interesting my daughters. And
I see your daughter modeling for
yes,
you.
and she's a manager in this business. So at some point, I hope that she'll pick it up and she can run with it. That will give me the greatest satisfaction.
If children get interested in your work.
Sometimes but I even hear parents insisting, "Mwana, go and study. You have to be a doctor." And they say, "Daddy, here's your degree, but I want to do business."
Yes.
I've seen. So you have to allow your children to grow into who they are.
Yes.
God blessed you with a child. Your role is to parent the child.
Yes.
Not to define who they are. God knows what He defined in that child.
Oh, yes.
You just need to support them so that they can grow into their purpose.
Yes.
But investing for your children, I think a lot of people have said that they've made mistakes. They used to think. Yeah.
So you play your games right, depending on your children. You know what your children want, and if you're privileged to maybe go and understand what your children have been called for, their purpose, then you can invest wisely, knowing that what you're putting money in, your child won't turn against you. Yeah, but it's very important to get all these truths when we are younger, because then you make informed decisions. Then you have a perspective towards life and towards your years ahead. And you kind of know, if you're doing investments, you know where to put your money now. Yeah, you don't just... Yeah, but thank you, Mr. Mwanga. I feel the conversation was very satisfying, especially to somebody who is younger, somebody who is running a family and a career.
Correct.
To kind of create a balance. One of the things that have stood out for me is family, focusing and investing in family. It's not every opportunity that you should take. I mean, there are many. If you have a family, it's also a big influence in our decision. So it's very important to consider both and see and prayerfully, make a decision that will not harm your family and children. And secondly, investment decisions to have a mind of the future and know that there are some things you can do when you're older. Invest in people, invest in relationships, have your social capital right when you're younger, so that when you're older, you have people that are in your life when you're older. And also to have an understanding of leaving things for your children that, not everything you leave behind your children will manage. So as you leave things behind, also have a managerial system of how those things are going to manage it if your children are not willing to manage them. Correct. So thank you so much. I feel
one thing we've forgotten to say is invest in God.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
There were stages in my life where I didn't understand. But invest in understanding God. God gives you answers. Not in the way some people are defining today in the prosperity gospel, but rather in purpose and understanding even the blessings which God gives you, like a job, and preparing for the future.
Yes.
And making sure that actually the Bible says we are supposed to be the ones who lend, not to borrow.
Yes.
If you know the word, the Bible says, "My people perish because of lack of knowledge." It is in all spheres, spiritual and in the physical.
Yes.
Connecting those two dots will make it easier for you to identify what it means to save and invest. And do all the things that you have asked God to give you an opportunity to do, and the things that will give you purpose and satisfaction.
Yeah. Even in
like
investment,
I said,
God
my disclaimer
gives
is there. I have not got there, so don't.
Yes.
But I realize now I'm older.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are. And it's been an honor really to hear you speak about your journey, your experience. For me, I feel like even people who are older, even if they've made mistakes, we can always learn
It's
from
never too
them.
late.
Yes. And that's why we are always privileged to get people like you to speak to us. So I hope you've also enjoyed the conversation. And thank you. I just want to thank you for making time to come.
And thank you as well.
To the show. So thank you everybody who has watched us. If you feel you need, if you feel you've learned something, please go in our comment section and leave your thoughts there. One of the things that this show is doing is to help us understand some of the things, some of the gaps in our lives that sometimes we don't look at. Sometimes you don't know you need this until you actually watch it. So if you feel this is helpful to you, please share with your friends and let us all do better in terms of planning and preparing for our days ahead. Thank you very much. Till next time. Bye-bye.